Hi, Dr. TJ Dixon here, your intuitive guide to transformation, connecting to your best life. Today, I want to talk to you about goal setting and being able to reach and achieve those goals. Still, as the day I'm recording this, it is January 7th, and it's still relatively new into the year. Some people may have just set New Year's resolutions. Other people maybe just have a theme for the year. And still others may have a vision of where they want to go. But more than likely, whether you participate in any of these traditions or not, there are certain goals that you would want to set and meet throughout the year. And if so, this video is for you. So, one of the first things you want to look at when it comes down to goal setting and also being able to achieve the goal, being able to manifest what it is that you are wanting to do, is ask yourself, what is it that you want to achieve? A lot of people say, oh, I want to do all of these things, but what is it that you really want to achieve? And continue to ask yourself that when you have set the goal, because oftentimes our goals are multi-layered and they take time for us to reach the ultimate end. So at various points along the way, ask yourself, what is it that you want to achieve? What little piece of the goal do you want to get to next? And then ask yourself, what is most important to you right now? What is it that you are wanting to really focus in on in terms of your goal right now? Those two questions are super important for you to really get to where you're wanting. I was just having a conversation with someone, and they talked about sometimes getting frustrated during the process of achieving the goal because they feel like they're not getting anywhere. And I understand that fully, because there are sometimes these really big goals that I have that it just isn't something that happens overnight. It takes time. And so what I would suggest in those periods is set like little mini goals inside the really big goal. For instance, if you're looking at releasing weight, and there's a lot of weight that you would like to release. I like to use the word release and not lose, because if you lose something, you sometimes find it. If you want to get rid of weight, you really don't want to find it again. So when you're looking at releasing weight, say you want to release 20 pounds. Well, instead of just saying, well, I'm not a success until I hit 20 pounds, how much weight would you like to release within the month? And then what would you like to achieve during each week of the month? And not just the weight being released, but what habits would you like to change? What things would you like to accomplish that would be considered non-scale victories? That's one of the terms that Weight Watchers use, is non-scale victories. So what would you like to see happen? Is it that you would like to eat for nutrition instead of for motion? Is it that you would like to move more? Is it that you would like to rest your body instead of eating to make your body be more fueled up instead of taking a nap or resting like your body wants? What is it that you would really like to achieve amongst that great big goal? And so that piece of it is defining what your goal is. The second part that you would want to do is looking at where you're at. Where are you at in relation to your goal? You know, are you close to meeting goal? Are you somewhere in the middle? Are you in the beginning? And when you look at that, give it a number. Ask yourself, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of fully achieving your goal? And that helps in the process too, because again, going back to if you want to lose 20 pounds and you're starting off at day one, well, maybe you're only at a 1 because you haven't began to change your eating habits. You haven't started moving more. You haven't released anything. But maybe by week 2, now you've say released 5 pounds. And so now you're maybe sitting at a 4. So yes, you're not yet at a 10, which is total achievement, but man, you're not at a 1 anymore either. So you can celebrate the fact that you moved up the scale closer towards goal. And that way it helps keep you engaged with whatever the goal is that you're trying to achieve, because you can see just by asking yourself where you are in relation to goal on a scale of 1 to 10, you can see yourself ticking up that scale more and more and more until finally you are hitting that perfect 10. And then another thing that you can ask yourself if you're setting a goal is what's contributed to your success so far? So again, going back to losing 20 pounds, if you're in week 2 and you're like, oh man, I've released a quarter of the weight that I really wanted to get rid of. I've released 5 pounds. What did I do in order to get to this point? So start looking at, was it that you found movement that you really enjoy doing? So instead of maybe if you like to window shop, so you decided you're going to go mall walk. Or maybe you've decided, I really enjoy a walk in the evening with the dogs. So maybe you're taking the dogs out more. Or maybe you decided to finally join that spin class that you've been interested in. Whatever that is, start looking at what has contributed to your success so far. And then ask yourself, what skills and attributes do you have that is helping you with achieving the goal? What do you have? Are you the type that you are a great cook, so you're able to adjust recipes and make them more healthy? Or are you the type that you can make the recipe still taste good and still cut the calories? Maybe those are the skills that you have that will help you to release weight, because you're an awesome cook. So you can play around with recipes and still make your food taste good. What do you have that can help you to achieve the goal? And then you want to, again, as I said, you're looking at what is your progress that you are making so far. If you're not a numbers person, so you don't want to ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how close to goal are you? Maybe you're just looking at, well, how far have I gotten? And you can look back on saying, well, the last 2 weeks, I have really been out taking walks 5 times a week. I've been on my bike 3 times a week. I've started a yoga routine. I've started taking a run at lunch, whatever that thing is. And then ask yourself, what's working well for you right now? Because sometimes we get frustrated. Again, if any of you are like me, sometimes I get a little impatient. I do. I have to confess, I sometimes get a little impatient. But what helps with that is like, okay, what's working well for you right now? Maybe I haven't released into 20 pounds yet, but I've released 15. So what's really working well is maybe the thing is you haven't eaten in 3 weeks for emotion, or I took a nap instead of drinking a frappuccino, or I got out and took a walk with the dogs after dinner instead of just sitting down watching The Bachelor. I did something good that has helped me get to where I'm going now, and that is what's really working well. And actually, I'm feeling better. So look at things like that and start asking yourself these questions to see how, where are you at right now and how you are progressing towards your goal. So then the other thing that you can look at are what are options. So you have this goal, and I'm going to go back to the 20 pounds thing. You want to release the 20 pounds. What options do you have to release the 20 pounds? Is it that you join maybe a program that is known, like say a Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig? Do you have the options of just maybe eating half of the food that you normally eat? And that's going to be how you're going to release the 20 pounds. Or is your option you're going to continue to eat as you have been eating, and you're just going to start to work out now? What are the options that you have in order to meet the goal? And this works for any goal that it is. If you are looking at wanting to get a new position, what options do you have? Is it applying internally at the same company you're at for a different position? Or is it going outside of the company and looking at moving to a totally different company for the position? Or maybe you're going to become self-employed to do the work that you really want to do. What are your options? And then ask yourself, have you encountered a similar situation before? So sometimes we look at what we're trying to do and we're like, man, we haven't done this exact thing. But maybe you've done something similar before. So going back to releasing the 20 pounds. Well, maybe you've never ever thought about releasing weight before. It's going to take some steps to get there. Releasing 20 pounds may take several weeks, several months to do. So what other time have you had a goal that was multi-layered, where it took you time in order to reach the goal, but you could make progress every week? Maybe you saved for a house. And so that's kind of a similar situation where you knew you needed $10,000 for down payment, and and every week you saved $100, and it took you a number of years to do it, but you were able to get to your $10,000. Or maybe you did something where you sold your car, so you did some radical things, like maybe you started eating beans and rice and beans, and so you cut out all the fancy dinners and you ate at home so that you could save more money out of your food bill in order to save the money for the house. What things did you do? What habits did you change? How have you been in a similar situation where you've achieved the goal? That's what you want to look at. And then ask yourself, well, what could I do differently? Again, I'm wanting to release 20 pounds, and maybe I'm frustrated because I've only released 3 pounds and it's been a month. Well, what could I do differently? Well, maybe, I could cut out that nighttime snack that I've been eating. Or maybe instead of walking on the treadmill 20 minutes, maybe I can bump it up to 40 minutes. Maybe I could walk at lunchtime, or perhaps I could join a gym. What are those things that you could do differently to help you to achieve your goal? And look at it having 5 options. It doesn't matter right now if you think they're viable options or not. It's almost like brainstorming. What options do I have to achieve this goal? Just write them down, write them out. Don't worry about qualifying them yet. But it starts to get our mindset towards the solution rather than the problem. It starts getting our mindset towards the achievement rather than just having a goal that we are wanting. It gets us shifted from desiring something to manifesting that very desire. So look at what your options are, and come up with 5. And then you can ask yourself if you know someone who's encountered a similar situation. So if you're wanting to release 20 pounds, do you know someone who's done that before and done it successfully? You could talk to them and find out, well, what did they do? What did you do in order to release these 20 pounds? What tips can you give me? That's one thing that we can all, if we all have an interdependent relationship with one another, all of us can achieve at a much bigger, better, faster rate, because we can help one another out to get to where we want to go. And then that way we all win. So ask someone who's been in a similar situation. It's like having a mentor. And maybe it doesn't have to be an official mentor, but just someone who well, they've been through that. So maybe they can help me. And I know personally I've had a number of people who have come to me over the years who have talked to me about wanting to achieve a particular goal because it's something I had done before. I've gone to people and asked people, how did you get so-and-so done? Because you've done what I really want to do, so can you give me some tips? That sort of thing. So just ask the questions. And people love to talk about what they've done, so, put away any fears you may have to ask those questions. Get out there and just ask. If another great question to come up with options, if anything were possible, what would you do? That is a really powerful question to ask yourself. Because honestly, there's a law called the law of pure potentiality. And I've talked about this law before in a prior video. But with the law of pure potentiality, it simply means that we are part of the divine spark. We are a part of God. And so for us, things are limitless. And there are an infinite number of possibilities for us for what we are purposed for and what we're here for. So ask yourself that question. If anything were possible, what would I do? Ask yourself that question. And once you ask yourself these questions about your options, and ask yourself what else. Make sure you turn over every stone in your mind on what your options are towards your goal, because sometimes the best way to manifest is something that we ordinarily wouldn't even think about. So again, this is definitely a brainstorming session I'm talking about in this area, where you're looking at all kinds of things, throwing all kinds of stuff out to see kind of what ends up being your best options. And finally, that brings me to the last step, where now you're looking at what you are going to do. So you've talked about what your goal is, you've talked about where you are in relation to the goal, and you've talked about all these options you have to achieve the goal. Now you're going to ask yourself, well, what am I going to do? So, looking at all those options that you developed, what options are best for you? Because there is a ton of options, but what is best for you? And it might be what is best for you at this time. So again, going back to releasing 20 pounds, maybe you had an option on there that you could just starve for the next month and only eat 500 calories a day, and that could get rid of your 20 pounds. And certainly maybe that could work. But that's not a good option for you, because you still need to work every day, and you have several children you need to take care of, and maybe you have a brand new baby, and so you're nursing the baby, and you need more calories in your system so that the baby can have healthy milk. So maybe that's just not an option for you. However, maybe another option that you had on your list, like walking on the treadmill 20 more minutes than what you've been doing, and eating a salad with your dinner instead of eating a potato, well, maybe that's going to be a better option for you. So start looking at what are the options that are best for you. And then ask yourself, well, what small step am I going to take now? Because it's all great and fine to talk about what we want to do and what our goals are. And I know people who are fantastic at setting goals and talk about what they want to do and all this stuff, and they sound great, but they're not taking any deliberate action towards it. They're just talking about ideas and what they'd like to do. So if you're really wanting to achieve a goal, ask yourself, what small step am I willing to take right now? What are the 3 things I'm going to do over the next week to get me towards that goal? And continue to ask yourself that every single week. Don't just come up with these 3 steps and, well, I got until whenever to get them done. No, set a time frame on it. Out of this larger goal, these are the 3 things that I'm going to do over the next week to get there. So, back to the 20 pounds. Over the next week, I am going to not eat dessert, walk 5 more miles than I did last week, and take a nap so that I'm well rested and I'm not drinking frappuccinos all day. So those are going to be your 3 things. And then you're going to check in. It's great to have an accountability partner, by the way, with your goal setting. But if you do not have an accountability partner, check in with yourself and see did you achieve those 3 small things, steps you're going to take towards your ultimate goal. So look at that. The other thing that you can ask yourself again is, when are you going to start? It's great to even come up with what you're going to do. I'm not going to drink the frappuccinos. I'm going to take a nap in the afternoon instead of drinking the frappuccinos all day. I'm going to walk 5 extra miles. I'm not going to eat dessert. When's that going to start? Is it going to start a month from now? It's going to start today. When are you going to start? And so it's really important to make that decision. This is my commencement date. When is this going to start? The other thing to ask yourself is, who can help you? Who can help you? Again, I talked about having an accountability partner. That's one place where coaches come in to be awesome resources, to be the accountability partner. Coaches can help you get to where you're wanting to go. And today's video that I'm doing basically is me giving you a group coaching session where these are the types of questions that you would be asked in a coaching session. They can be tailored more specifically to what you want, but these are the types of questions. And so Who can help you out with this? Is it a coach? Maybe your accountability partner can be your teenage daughter. Maybe it's going to be your best friend. But it has to be somebody who's going to really help you, really empower you, not someone who's going to give you a pass. That's going to say, forget the diet today. We can go have Dairy Queen once. We can go get, steak and potatoes and lobster. They're having a sale at Outback. We got to go there. They're having a special. Make sure that you have the person that's going to really be there, truly helping you. And also not someone who's going to put you down if you're not going fast enough. Someone who's going to encourage you, to empower you, but also who you're going to want to tell your progress to and really feel like you have an accountability partner so that you are continuing to progress. And then ask yourself, how do you know when you've been successful? Now, with releasing 20 pounds, you can say, well, that's obvious. It's when I released 20 pounds. However, there are many small successes that you must have in order to reach that ultimate goal. So maybe you've been successful this week when you achieved the 3 steps you said you were going to take towards releasing the 20 pounds. You've been successful because you didn't eat dessert all week. You did walk 5 extra miles. And you did rest instead of drinking Frappuccinos all day. That's how you've been successful. So yes, maybe this week you've only released 1.5 pounds, but you've been highly successful because you achieved the 3 steps you said you were going to take towards the ultimate goal. So that's what I mean by being successful. And then also, how will you ensure that you're going to take the steps? That again can go back to the accountability partner. It could go back to you saying, well, I'm going to ensure that I'm going to do it because Frappuccinos are starting to really bother my health. And it's starting to bother my wallet too because they're costing me way too much money. And yeah, I can't keep affording to pay for $5 cappuccinos every day. So yeah, I'm going to ensure that I'm going to do it because I'm not about to spend another $5 on Frappuccinos. Or yeah, I'm going to have to do this because my spouse and I are saving for a trip to Hawaii, and yeah, he's checking the account. He's going to be mad if I've spent, $150 this month on Frappuccinos. So I know that how I'm going to ensure that I'm going to do it is because there's some other factor going on there. Maybe it's I got to save this money, or yeah, Frappuccinos are starting to give me a stomachache because I'm drinking too many of them. So whatever that is, how are you going to ensure it? And maybe your spouse is going to be your accountability partner. So, and then the last thing, one of the last things you want to ask yourself is, okay, how committed am I? How committed am I to taking the steps that I said I was going to take towards this goal? How committed am I to achieving the goal? And again, rank that on a scale of 1 to 10. What's your commitment level? And ask yourself about that, about every single step that you're going to take towards that goal. So every week, if that's your check-in time, and you're setting 3 additional steps every week to get towards the goal, for every one of those steps, ask yourself, how committed are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And if your commitment level is not 10, and be honest with yourself, because your commitment level, it might not be 10. Then maybe it's 8, maybe it's 5. But ask yourself, why is your commitment level there? Even if your commitment level is a 10, oh yeah, commitment level is a 10. I'm not drinking Frappuccinos this week. Well, why is that? Because the last time I drank one, my stomach hurt so bad. I wanted to go to the movies that night, and I had to stay home and lay in bed because my stomach hurt too bad. So yeah, I ended up missing the opening of Star Wars. So, my commitment is at a 10 because I'm not about to miss another movie, and I got to go see Star Wars this weekend. Whatever that is, what is your commitment level? And ask it for every single thing. Honesty is key here. Don't lie to yourself. If one of your steps is, I'm going to walk an additional 5 miles this week, and your commitment level is a 3, say your commitment level is a 3, and then ask yourself why. Well, I'm doing good to walk 1 mile because I don't really like to walk. okay, then you might want to reevaluate and say, well, is this really a viable step for me this week? Maybe instead of saying I should walk 5 miles extra this week, maybe I need to say, I actually like to roller skate. And so I'm going to go roller skating twice this week. They're having a Saturday afternoon session and a Sunday night session. And I think I'm just going to go roller skating for, the 2-hour session Saturday and another 2-hour session Sunday. And my commitment level can really be at a 9 for that because I really like to roller skate. Then you can switch out the step. Because if you're not really committed to doing the step, then it may be that you really need to reevaluate and see if there's a better step that can actually work for you. You have to be careful when you're setting goals is that you don't should yourself. Because we can tell ourselves all day long what we should do. And that might work for a while because a lot of us can operate on shoulds. But eventually, sometimes we have this part of us, this authentic part of ourselves that's like, I don't really want to do this. And so screw this. I'm not going to do this. And we figure out a way to sabotage ourselves because we're really not committed anyway. We're really not buying in. So look at that and be honest with yourself because sometimes it's not so much, what we should do. Maybe there's a better solution for us. Yes, it is well known that walking is supposed to be like a great thing for people to do for heart health and all this stuff. But maybe that's just not your thing. Maybe rollerblading is a better thing for you, or roller skating is a better thing. Because they're probably not going to come out on a commercial and say, oh, you ought to go roller skating because there are some people who don't know how to roller skate, but all of us can walk. But maybe roller skating is actually like this super fun thing that you really love to do. And so that is a way better solution for you versus getting out there trying to walk 5 miles or walking 5 miles on a treadmill. I mean, it's not your thing. And that's really okay because the better solution for you is roller skating. So look at all of that. Be very honest with yourself. And if you follow these steps that I've outlined and asking yourself these questions, there are other powerful questions that you can ask yourself too, specific to your situation. But if you ask yourself these general types of questions, you're on your way to achieving the goals that you have set for yourself and really making lots of movement towards living your best life. Thank you so much for watching. If you're looking for an accountability partner in the form of a coach, check me out at www.drtjdixon.com and may you live your best life.